Hi, I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot. Welcome to another 10 Talk Tuesday. Hi, welcome back. All right, your personality type. Do you think that would affect a reading or affect the outcome of a reading? I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. I know there are some of you out there who are, and you would know more about this particular subject than what I do. Well, the part of the subject that is about personality types. But I don't want to get into sort of technical stuff here. I don't know enough about the technical aspects. What I do know is that some people are grumpy, some people are sort of always up and ecstatic and happy. Some people are suffering from depression. Other people are just very pessimistic. Okay. So we all have different personality types. We all slot into a general personality type or category. And I am convinced that the personality category that you slot into will have an effect on the reading that is done for you. So let us say that Mr. Jones comes in. Mr. Jones is extremely pessimistic. He's also surprisingly paranoid. Mr. Jones goes through his entire life feeling that everything is against him, everybody's against him. When the robot or traffic light turns red, it's a personal vendetta of traffic lights against him. I'm sure you've come across people like this. You must have. They just don't see any joy in the world. Now, he comes to you for a reading, and his reading is blah, 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 XYZ, fish-based. And he goes trotting off. Okay. Your next client is Mrs. Smith. And Mrs. Smith comes in, and Mrs. Smith has got all these dangling jewels, and she's got the long moo-moo on, and she's, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Let's get this done. And flashing false eyelashes, and she sits down and she doesn't only take up space in the room, she kind of fills the room with this incredible energy and passion. Okay. And you do the reading, and lo and behold, it is the identical reading to what Mr. Jones had. Every single card in every single position. And Mrs. Smith is ecstatic. She's like, wow, I'm so excited. This is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And thank you so much for telling me not to go with the dark, handsome stranger. And she leaves your reading room like a ship in full sail, and all you have left is the smell of Christian Dior. Okay, so do you honestly think that those two readings, the identical reading, will mean the same to both those people? No, because as you can see, the one is incredibly pessimistic, will take no joy in the reading, and the other one is completely the opposite, will take only joy from the reading, will not see anything there that is darkness or pessimistic. Okay, now very few people actually are an extreme. We are all combinations of these things. But I want you to understand as a reader that I'm not saying you have to whitewash your readings to suit the client, or you have to choose a specific way of saying things to suit a client. If you are a reader that is straightforward, that is to the point, and you use specifically cards that are the type of cards that will hit the nail on the head, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, that is your personality type, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. You can still do that, okay, and I will guarantee you will still get a different reading even if the cards are identical with different personality types. Having said this, you also fall into a personality type. So you are also either a straightforward person, or you're a kind of a very kind and soft person, or you're also perhaps a pessimistic person that thinks everybody's out to get you. Okay, they're probably not, but anyway. That also, although I have done a video on not allowing your own personality to override the reading, it's probably impossible to do that. Okay, it can just be something to be aware of, which is I touched on in another video. But your personality type is also going to affect, I don't think so much the actual reading, but I think the way that the questioner interacts with you. Okay, and through that, this is starting to get very complicated, isn't it? But the way they interact with you, the way you interact with them, is going to have this effect on what they take away with them. Let's put it that way. So Mrs. Smith is going to have, or Mrs. Jones, whatever, she's going to have a very upbeat and fantastic look at these cards, whereas the other client is going to be like, wow, this just means gloom and doom for me. How do we overcome this? How do we stop ourselves from only giving people what they expect? I'm afraid you can't. All right. If you have somebody in your chair that is asking questions and you can't really suss them out, you can't tailor make your reading for their personality type. You can perhaps tailor make the way you put things across to them. So if it is somebody like the pessimistic client, the paranoid client, you could perhaps word the way you put you tell them about the reading. You could perhaps put that into a different way, a different context, so that it doesn't sound so threatening. Or with the upbeat client, you could perhaps also just kind of pull them down to earth and ground them a little bit by the way you tell them things. All right, but you're never going to change a person's personality. You're never going to be able to suss that person out completely and realize, okay, they are a manic depressive with, I don't know, X, Y, and Z traits, and that's because they are X, Y, and Z. It doesn't work that way, because you are not a trained psychiatrist or psychologist. If you are, okay. But I don't think that in a reading situation or in a reading environment, you would be able to do that very well. The exception for that is empaths. Empaths would probably be able to do this way better than most of us, because they do have that connection. As soon as somebody comes in, they will connect. The energy will just slot in there, boom, and they will connect, and they will kind of know a lot more than what just normal readers would. Okay, they would tap into that energy. They would tap into that person's mind almost. All right, and they will be able to then suss the whole scene out. But I mean, you might have a client who just comes in and they're just having a really bad day. You can't say to yourself, oh, well, this is a normal grumpy person, this is how they are all the time. They might just be grumpy on that particular day. Okay. You also get clients who, as I say, overlap these different sort of pigeonholed, grumpy, paranoid, happy, whatever. We all tend to do that. As I said, some days you're going to be happy, some days you're not. There is very little, there's very seldom like this extreme A or B personality. There's always this mix. And I think we have to be very aware of, just be aware that the person in front of you, they have specific personality traits that are dominant. Okay, so they could be very easily excitable. They could even be relatively violent. They could be a fantastic person, and every now and again, boom, something sets them off and they're just going to want to punch the wall. Hopefully it's just the wall. So I think you need to be aware that personality types definitely play a role in the readings that you're going to do, or the message that person is going to take out of the reading. As I said, it can be exactly the same reading for two completely different personality types, and they will take away two completely different meanings. Okay, so I think just be aware of this. Again, try not to let your own personality type dominate. Try and suppress it. I always say, and I think I've said this before, is when you do a reading, try to step out of your Matthew clothes, or your, I don't know, Bob's clothes, or whoever, IA clothes, okay, and put on that other suit, that hazmat suit of the reader, so that you don't allow your energies to get involved in this, or your personality type to get involved in this. I hope you've kind of enjoyed this. I hope it's been a bit of an eye-opener for you. Think about it, and let me know down below in the comments how you handle this, how you handle specific personality types. I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot, and I will see you next week for some more 10 Talk.